It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing all right. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's for an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by our next Billy C boxing event. It will be taking place the week of January 16th. The location to be determined. It's either going to be in St. Simon's or upstate New York. So we will let you know exactly where it's going to be. We will be showing not one, not two, not three, but four more classic fights for that event. Sal and myself and a special guest will be calling the action. There'll be food and cash bar and all that stuff for you. So make sure you get on the list now. Space is limited. Drop me an email, and I'll hook you up. You know, I guess you're going to need to know where it is first, right? I will let you know by the end of this week. So drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of this book right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just go to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. If you want a signed copy, just visit our website, billycboxing.com, and click on the book. You're looking to get some multiple copies? Because Christmas is coming right around the corner. It's in a couple of weeks. You want to stuff all those stockings with my book, which is a great idea. Just drop me an email, and I'll give you a special price. Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Today's topic, oh, by the way, tomorrow, don't forget to tune in. We got our Blast from the Past. Alex Papali is going to present our Blast from the Past with myself, and we are doing as per request. And if you have a request for a blast, just drop me an email. Sir Henry Cooper, that's right, former heavyweight title challenger and European champion and the holder of the Lonsdale belt several times, Henry Cooper. So we'll be talking about that. And don't forget, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard will be stopping by to give his thoughts on Cotto's fight and the fights that are scheduled for this week. So make sure you show up tomorrow. And special programming note, we will not, I repeat, we will not be doing a live show on Thursday, but we are scheduled for the rest of the week. It is the holiday season, so we are, being kind of flexible with dates due to some other commitments. So we apologize for that. I saw in the chat room yesterday somebody said, oh, I guess they're going to 4 days a week. That's not true. We are still 5 days a week, and we got a whole bunch of new segments that we will be kicking off for 2018. So you guys are going to love them. And a couple of them are from your ideas from last year. We just hadn't had a chance to implement them. Today's topic, at least for most of the show, The heavyweights. Let's talk about the heavyweights. No, not me. Yeah, I'm a fat bastard, I know, but not me. I'm talking about the heavyweights in the heavyweight division. It was announced yesterday, according to Team Joseph Parker, that the deal between AJ, Anthony Joshua, and Joseph Parker is very close to being done. As a matter of fact, according to Camp Parker, an official announcement will be announced in the next week or so. I think it's a good fight. I want to see Wilder fight AJ, but it sounds like Deontay Wilder is pricing himself out of the fight. Joining me right now from St. Simon's Island, I want to get his thoughts on first the Joseph Parker fight, potential fight with AJ, is my man Sal Rocky Senecola with the cameras on him right now. He's got no headset. He's got nothing. He's not ready. He's not ready. We got to switch the camera up. Oh, no, wait. He's ready now. Sal Rocky Senecola. What's going on, man? I'm giving you all this time, and you're sitting there just sipping on your coffee, probably eating pancakes and eggs. What are you doing, man?
I had to wring out the pancakes. No, I had computer issues this morning, but I'm up and running. Everything is perfect today. I think it's going to be flawless. I'm telling you right now. I'm so excited.
Well,
I read
so.
Something on one of the news wires that Deontay Wilder wants 50% or nothing less.
Yeah,
that's why we're talking about the other guy.
We're going to talk about that in a second. I want to get your thoughts first on the potential showdown with Joseph Parker and AJ. That seems to be the first fight we're going to see in 2018 in terms of Anthony Joshua.
Well, I think if it's inevitable and if that fight is going to happen, we had hoped it would have been Deontay Wilder, but for reasons we'll discuss, I think that Joseph Parker would probably be the next best situation that we could look at right now. And I think Joseph Parker, it would be a decent fight. I hope that we see Anthony Joshua rise to the occasion, as he doesn't awfully fail us in doing so. And I think he will utilize his skills and go to work and probably really have a good fight that I don't think will go the distance. I think he'll stop Parker before the end of the fight.
You know, Parker, we have a tendency here in the States to kind of poo-poo Parker. He's still a heavyweight, and like you say all the time, on any given night, especially in the heavyweight division. And, maybe this is fuel for his fire that people like us, or I'll say like me at least, aren't giving him much of a chance, and you think that AJ will stop him, as do I. But you never know. And, if they're able to sign this deal within the next week or so, it's given him plenty of time to prepare. A quote from his camp, specifically Kevin Barry, his trainer, and I guess, his manager, I'm talking about his, meaning Joseph Parker, says, "We're very close to reaching an agreement. And like I said, we've made several concessions because we want this fight really bad. We want Joseph's body in the right shape to enter our biggest ever training camp. Hopefully in the next week to 10 days, we'll be able to officially announce we're fighting Anthony Joshua." We all know, Sal, that originally they demanded 50%. Then the next minute they said, well, we'll take 45. And then an hour later they said, well, we'll be happy with 35. And, the issue here is value. So when you look at Joseph Parker, no discredit to him and his accomplishments and the fact that he does hold a world title belt. When you look at the drawing power and you look at, who's who in the landscape of that drawing power, AJ is in control in that fight. To suggest that Joseph Parker would come in and ask for a percentage of the potential revenue, I think was I don't agree with it. I think it was out of control, actually, considering that AJ can make $20 million fighting in front of whatever, 60, 80,000 people plus television rights in Europe and here in the States. And everybody they'll pay that if he fights, me or you. So for Joseph Parker to demand a percentage of that was ridiculous, especially considering he never made, more than a couple of $1 million in a fight. I don't even think he made two yet, similar to Deontay Wilder. For him to fight for a fixed price, I thought was, more than reasonable. What's your thoughts?
Well, we do know that, and I agree with that the whole time. I think Anthony Joshua holds all the cards. I mean, this guy, his formula, their game plan, and their venue out there in Wembley or wherever they're fighting in England is such a showcase. It's such an event, and we don't ever think of it as being anything less than a real big event. These fans are appreciative. They are all over them, and you know what? They want a percentage. I'll tell you what they could do. Let's see how many, what percentage of fans will show up for either Deontay Wilder or Parker. And when they want 50%, they're going to see that their fan base showing up to that fight is going to be a lot less than the fan base showing up for the Anthony Joshua fan base.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, theoretically.
I'm just seeing the theoretical, yes.
But it's hard. I mean, that's the other issue. Joseph Parker's fan base is not going to travel from the land down under, to watch him fight. At least I don't think so. We do know that a lot of the British boxing fans do travel. I mean, when Ricky Hatton came over to fight Floyd Mayweather, he had over 10,000 people that came and watched the fight. Anthony Joshua, I'm sure, would attract the Brits as well. I don't know about Joseph Parker, and that's a good point. How many fannies are you going to put in the seats? Listen, the only value he brings to the table, let's be real, the only value that Joseph Parker brings to the table is a belt. And, guys like you and myself and many, 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 many others, are sick of all the belts and the devaluing of, being a world title holder when there's, others in your own weight division that all claim the same thing. And when you look at the WBO belt, you say to yourself, well, how much value does that bring? Well, it brings a certain amount of value to AJ because he wouldn't even be seeking the fight with Joseph Parker if he didn't want to collect all the belts. And I do respect him for that. And I do respect him for, in a sense, wanting to clean up the heavyweight division. But when push comes to shove, the only thing that Joseph Parker brings to the table, aside from his record, is the WBO belt. How much is that worth in terms of a purse?
Well, I don't think it's it is a valuable belt, and let's not just forfeit it for being an extensive set of jewelry. It does have some value, some meaning, and I think it does hold its weight. And I think it would be great if Anthony Joshua is in a process of unifying that heavyweight championship with taking the belt from Joseph Parker and ultimately facing Deontay Wilder. I think that'll be a great strategy. We'll have to wait back for that fight, but I think Anthony Joshua could negotiate and understand there is some value in that belt. But for any other fighter, seeing the split to be 50-50 or something more or less, I mean, Anthony Joshua is the guy to beat, is the guy to get in a ring with, is the guy that holds most of the cards. And the venue that he can outline and the purse that he can create for these fighters, I don't care. It reminds me of a story. Would you rather get 100% of nothing or 30% of something? I mean, that's what these guys are looking at comparatively to what they fought for in the past. If they get 5 million, 10 million, hey, guess what? Merry Christmas. Let's all celebrate. And if you can dethrone Anthony Joshua and look good, look respectable, then you're going to have more credibility, more value, and more marquee value going forward. So, hey, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
I don't think Joseph Parker has made more than $1.5 million for a fight. I for some reason I I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I remember talking about the purses between him and Deontay Wilder of what they've made already, and Deontay has made more, and he hasn't made $2 million yet. So percentages has to leave everybody's mouth because at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua is the guy in the driver's seat. Whether there's Americans that don't want to listen to it and buy into the smokescreen of Deontay Wilder or not, AJ's in the driver's seat. Now, with that said, I respect that AJ's team is trying to unify the belts, but they have a limit. They say, we will unify these belts. They told us, that the 3 fights that are on the radar for AJ for 2018 are Joseph Parker, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury. They named those 3 names. Now, they're going after those guys. They're making what they feel are fair offers, and they're going to let the chips fall as they will. If the fight happens, then great. If not, AJ's still in the driver's seat. I think Team Parker has realized that, Sal, and I think they're going to settle for a fixed amount of money that far exceeds anything they've ever made. And at the end of the day, they're in a win-win situation. Even if they lose the fight and put on a good performance, their value goes up. They're going to be in the mix. You see, the thing about making a lot of money in boxing, once you reach a plateau, that's your rate. If Joseph Parker can pull in $5 million for this fight, he's never going to fight for less than $1 million after that. Even if he loses, it's stupid for him to hold out because the value of him is not going to rise. The only way it could rise is if he started beating all these heavyweights and had a name for himself. There's just not that many to go around, right?
No, and I think, fighting in the land down under it's a beautiful venue. It's great, but I think, to look at the possibility of generating $5 million or something like that on a regular basis is going to be a feat that, it's easier for him to get one of the belts than it is for that. So I think, like you said, Anthony Joshua holds all the cards on that level. He could generate enough money for these guys to retire, especially if there's a rematch clause or anything else. So I think these guys would be very short-sighted and very, looking at a different picture. You got to realize that this is don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Not only are you going to get it on a world stage, but you're going to be looking at a purse that is going to be bigger than anything else you've ever been having to sign a contract to.
And not only that, like I said before, he gets a big payday, but he's going to be getting big paydays after that because that becomes his bargaining chip.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So that's Joseph Parker. Now we have the fight that we all want to see. We want to see, Anthony Joshua, who I think is the best heavyweight in the world today, fight the guy who pounds his chest and says he's the best heavyweight. That's Deontay Wilder. I'm going to talk about that as soon as we come back from break.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote. This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's Home Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Don't forget to be with us on our next Billy C. Boxing event. You missed the last one. Don't miss this one. Drop me an email to get put on the list. I said, what's up with that, man? What do we got? Little gremlins in the system today? If you want to get put on the list, drop me an email. Yeah, Sal was having problems with his computer, and it translated over to me. Just drop me an email if you want to get on the list. Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Well, the fight that we all want, we're talking about the heavyweight division, and we just, before we went to break, Sal and I were talking about the potential showdown between WBO heavyweight champion Joseph Parker against who I look at as the heavyweight champion, AJ, who holds a couple of belts. But the fight that everybody wants to see is WBC champion Deontay Wilder take on Anthony Joshua. Now, the issue here that I have with Deontay Wilder is the same I've always had. This guy wins a fight against a punching bag and pounds his chest like he just knocked out King Kong. He also says that he's the best. As a matter of fact, Turner Classic Movies last night showed a bunch of fights, fight movies. One of my all-time favorites is Requiem of Heavyweight, which they showed. And they also showed Harder They Fall with Humphrey Bogart. And it was a fictional tale. But if you look at that, it was loosely based on Primo Carnera. But if you look at that movie, watch that movie, or read the book, to me, you could put Deontay Wilder in that position, because that is what I look at with Deontay Wilder. Does he possess talent and skill? He's got knockout punch, at least with the slugs he's fought, and he does display a jab, at least with one fighter of his 39 wins, but he has yet to be tested. And a guy that pounds his chest and says he's the best, who's yet to be tested, I got a big question mark. Asked about the fight, and if you look at Deontay Wilder, he's always talking about Anthony Joshua. He's running from me. He's hiding. He's running. He's hiding. He's running. He's hiding. But we all know that the truth is that, Team Wilder, and I'm not blaming it on Deontay. He's got a lot of mouths in his ears. are outpricing themselves. This is the part that we never hear, Sal. We always hear, I want to fight so-and-so. Well, he don't want to fight me. But the part is they're outpricing themselves. Now, you alluded earlier that Deontay Wilder is looking for a 50-50 split, and that is true. It was reported yesterday. It's reported yesterday that Deontay Wilder is demanding a 50-50 split and said if he doesn't get a 50-50 split, there will be no Anthony Joshua fight. Before I give you some quotes, Sal, I feel the same way as I do about Joseph Parker. Deontay Wilder, he's not even known here in the States unless you're a diehard boxing fan. And I don't see him bringing anything to the table except the fact that we all want to see the fight. So there is value there. I think we want to see the fight more than Joseph Parker. And the fact that he's got the WBC belt even brings a little more value to the table. But assuming that the fight would be held in Europe and assuming it would be in front of 80,000 people like the Klitschko fight, Deontay Wilder's not bringing anything to the table except his pounding of his chest and a WBC belt. Here's a guy who's never made $2 million. I don't understand why he wouldn't accept $7 million guaranteed in the U.S. television rights. That would bring him, after all is said and done, at least $10 million in his pocket. What do you think?
I think you should negotiate that deal. That sounds great. I mean, forget about it. These, like I said, Anthony Joshua is in the driver's seat. He holds all the keys, the formula, and the outline of how these guys can get a fight for multi-millions of dollars. And you know what? It doesn't make sense that these guys are going to be so standoffish and not want to come to the table because it's not a 50-50 split. Well, I'm sorry if your ego's that hurt, boys. This is the game of boxing. You know, you got to give to take, and then you get some later. So you know, you got to understand this is the short picture, the small picture. You got to look at the macro view, the big picture. What happens after the fight? If you put your money where your mouth is and put your fist where your mouth is, then you can not worry about what the purses are going to be afterwards. Be grateful you're going to get $5 to $10 million and step in a ring with one of the most popular heavyweight champions out there today. That's what I think.
Right. I mean, listen, Deontay Wilder said, and I quote, Now, let's understand something. He's got a lot of ears. He's got a lot of mouths in his ears. Shelley Finkel, who longtime boxing manager, is one of the co-managers with Al Heyman, another guy that is greedy. I know many people believe that Al Heyman's for the fighters, but he's greedy. He's for Al. And those are his two main guys. He's also, you can sprinkle in Lou DiBella, who acts as his promoter, but it's a big scam. But anyway, Wilder said, and this is a quote from Wilder. He says, I don't think they are trying to make a negotiation at this point. I think they are trying to seek Parker. They got him on their agenda. He is their top priority, which is fine. If they don't want to fight at this time, that's okay. We're not going to chase anybody. I'm not chasing Joshua. If Joshua doesn't want to fight, then that's fine. If they want to have one fight apiece, then fight, that's fine. He says that basically he said that the UK and Team Joshua got a taste of how powerful and dangerous Deontay is with his first round destruction of fatty pants, Bermain Stavern, fatty 2x4 couldn't fit through the bedroom door, Stavern, he says this is why he's willing to walk away from the fight. He said the state of boxing, the heavyweight division, this is Deontay talking, we can finally say it's back. It's exciting. It's on fire. And to make it even more lit and even more exciting is going to be the moment when me and AJ stand in the middle of the ring. All eyes around the world will be watching. We'll stop the world in a moment in time to see once and for all who the heavyweight champion of the world is. It's a great fight. It's one of the biggest fights in the world, and everyone wants it. It will be a 50-50 split, or else we don't see a fight. If they want to use splits not to make a fight happen, then so be it. It's not like I'm asking for more. I'm saying this is a 50-50 fight. That's how it is. In the rematch, then we could talk about 60-40 splits or whatever. That's more acceptable. At the end of the day, whether we fight or not, the pressure's not on me. It's on him. Now, a lot of people, including myself, question the credibility of Deontay Wilder's opponents, especially when his chance of fighting a good opponent for the first time in Luis Ortiz, Alexander Povetkin, or either Andrzej Warzik, they all mysteriously test positive for performance-enhancing drugs. And then as soon as the fight gets canceled and Wilder fights a slug, they're all reinstated. I'll get to that in a little bit. He says he looks at Anthony Joshua and his team as AJ protectors. They say this is a guy getting praised for beating a 41-year-old. He's referring to Vladimir Klitschko, by the way, and who was out for already 2 years and was already dethroned by Tyson Fury. If the fight happens, I promise, I guarantee I will knock out Anthony Joshua, and don't be surprised if it's in the first round, but I definitely knock out Anthony Joshua. This is just a big mouth smokescreen. Deontay Wilder does not stand a chance with Anthony Joshua. I honestly don't think he stands a chance. He's got a puncher's chance. That's it. But what about him knocking the opponents that AJ's faced and still claiming that he has faced a tougher opposition, Sal?
Well, like we said, they're using the media to promote themselves and then, counter what is being said about themselves. So they're fighting back with words. That's what it is. It's reported in the media as you just read it off verbatim. And, that's what happens in the game of fighting. Everyone wants to tout their horn. Everyone wants to do something. That's why I said, they should go back to the old days. The fight purse. You're fighting for a prize. The winner gets the bigger cut. But, that's not going to happen. Maybe in a rematch, maybe something else. But I don't know. I think that Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder is the fight we want to see in 2018. And whether it happens sooner or later, I'd like to see it happen first, but it's not. And hopefully they will come to some agreement. I mean, I think Deontay Wilder is just flexing his muscle, showing the power, and ultimately I think he will eat a little humble pie when push comes to shove.
His team, his so-called advisors, his Al Heyman, Shelley Finkel, Lou DiBella, telling him that he's going to get 50-50, they're screwing this kid. They haven't been able to get him $2 million yet. He's 39-0 with 38 knockouts. They haven't gotten him $2 million yet. They haven't gotten him as a pay-per-view yet. They haven't gotten his name recognized by sports fans. Listen, you know how you've arrived in boxing today, at least in 2017? When you've arrived? It's when you go to a casual sports fan. The guy that talks about the baseball game or the football game or the basketball game around the water cooler on Mondays with his fellow workers and really isn't a diehard sports fan but just watches all the big stuff. That when you're in the sport of boxing and you have that casual fan talking about you on Monday, you've arrived. People don't even know who Deontay Wilder is. I love the Barry Hearn videos that were released that shows Barry Hearn's in New York City. This was, remember, Deontay Wilder calls Brooklyn his second home. He's from Alabama. We all know what they do in Alabama. But, he's from Alabama. He calls Brooklyn his second home because he's fought at the Barclays Center a few times. And Barry Hearn is asking people on the street, hey, who's Deontay Wilder? They don't even know who he was. They thought he was a basketball player. They thought he was a football player. They're like, who? No, I never heard of him. Sorry, never heard of him. And it's like, and this is the same guy demanding 50-50. Hold that thought. It's that time again. Another break already. We'll be right back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You watch and listen to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And I'm here with my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, you know, it just bothers me that, Deontay Wilder feels that, you know, he's entitled to a 50-50 split, assuming, I mean, just for argument's sake, you know, let's say Anthony Joshua, you know, could pull in $30 million, and I'm just throwing a number out, $30 million. You know, that's $15 million each. You know, I guess that's not that crazy, but from the offer I heard that they gave to Wilder that he poo-pooed was $7 million guaranteed plus the U.S. television rights, and that has to be a pay-per-view fight. Wouldn't he make $10 million?
Well, I think with the fan base in the United States wanting to see a heavyweight championship fight, not necessarily even having to know who Deontay Wilder is, would purchase that fight and want to see it, and hopefully he'll have a decent undercard as well. And to have that revenue all his, I'd say his promoters just got to market it correctly over here in the United States. And I think that's a very generous offering. $7 million is $7 million. Let me tell you something. If you can't live off that or divide that up and be left over with a couple $1 million, then I don't know. You got to look at what you really are doing and why you're in boxing. I think it's a very generous offer. You know, it's a rematch. They could talk about something a little more equal if it's not being that. But like we said, this fight is going to make, whether it's a Joseph Parker or Deontay Wilder, their marquee value will never hit that rock bottom again. So I don't know what they're fighting for.
And you just took the words right out of my mouth. maybe I would have used a different choice. But I mean, basically the same thing. You know, I think that Deontay Wilder's value goes up, even in a loss. You know, considering that he's got to fight somebody. And going up against AJ would show that he finally did. Let's assume for a minute that they hold strong, Deontay Wilder and his team, and they don't make the fight. And, they're looking for a 50-50 split. So what's his alternative? His alternative is to continue, because we just said earlier that the pool of heavyweights, the pool of all fighters, but the pool of heavyweights is limited, right? So let's assume AJ Wilder does not get made. AJ fights Parker and, goes and fights whoever. So let's assume that doesn't happen. And who's there for Deontay Wilder? I know people are going to say Big Baby Miller, he's a fraud. I mean, the guy hasn't fought anybody. He's a fat pig. There's really nobody there for him that's going to make him more than than what he makes, $1 million or whatever. I mean, it's not even a smart financial move to hold out, Sal. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it does not, Bill, and that's what I'm saying. These guys are advising him, or they're looking at the small picture. They got to look at the big picture. And the big picture, they can get the revenue. Let's peel it away. When Muhammad Ali fought for his first $1 million purse, do you think he ever fought for anything less than that afterwards? I doubt it. And the bottom line is, if these guys are going to get a multi-million-dollar purse to begin with, or about $5 million at least, or whatever, do you think they'll ever fight for anything less? Maybe, but it'll be over the $1 million, over a certain benchmark, and this is all adding to their credibility and marketability if they do a fair showing of themselves.
Well, like I said earlier, I think that Deontay Wilder's value goes up even in a loss. Interesting point that Wilder made. Oh, the rematch. Well, that gives me also some insight to assume that in negotiations with these fights for both, there's rematch clauses. What happens if Parker? I'm thinking that AJ has at least in the Parker fight, AJ has the rematch clause. He gets to choose if there's a rematch or not. So he wins. Let's say he beats Joseph Parker. He's not going to want a rematch. If he loses to Joseph Parker, he's going to want a rematch. But the fight with Deontay, I could see them doing a home and away deal, meaning that they fight one fight in Europe, in England, and the other fight in the U.S. And, the first fight I would think would have to go to England, only because that's where they could make the most. And the thing is, they could make the most money on that fight. But a rematch, regardless of who wins, will generate even more, especially if the first fight is exciting, don't you think?
Oh, I think so. And like I said, Bill, I think it would be a great show for the United States. Let's do it first in England and then bring it back. Anthony Joshua has always wanted to fight in Vegas. He's always wanted to fight in America. So I think it would be great. Win, lose, or draw. Have the second fight back here either in Vegas or Brooklyn. Or in Madison Square Garden, right there.
Yeah, well, Brooklyn would probably be the fight place if in the U.S. But so here, let's talk a little more about heavyweight news. So yesterday I was talking about the WBC, and several people had brought to my attention about Deontay Wilder, and mysteriously how every time he announced a fight that we all loved, the opponent tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. The two top names were Luis Ortiz and Alexander Povetkin, both guys that we wanted to see how Deontay Wilder fared against them, as I would call them legitimate heavyweights, top legitimate heavyweights. In both cases, they tested positive. The fight was canceled, or they had to come up with a late sub. And then mysteriously, in the case of Luis Ortiz, his team actually thanked the WBC for looking out for his health when it was determined that he had a banned substance come up in his testing, and it was due to his blood pressure medicine. And all of a sudden, Team Ortiz, rather than fight, they say, "Oh, thank you for looking out for him." And next thing you know, he's cleared. I was talking about it yesterday, how the WBC cleared Luis Ortiz to not only be in their rankings, but to compete for titles. And guess what? He's fighting Friday. They added him to a fight card. Chad Dawson and Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez was supposed to be the main event. And the fight got canceled, or they were the co-main event. And the fight got canceled. So what do? They bring in Luis Ortiz taking on Daniel Martz. Now, Daniel Martz is just a punching bag. He's not going to last more than a couple of rounds with Luis Ortiz. I'll tell you that right now. I've called some of his. As a matter of fact, we broadcast one of his fights that, he was the A side and he got knocked out by the opponent we brought in. He's just a guy that was he's a professional opponent. And he's a big guy, but no amateur experience, and he can't fight a lick. Luis Ortiz is going to destroy him. But the issue here is that the WBC has approved the fight, and it's going to help Luis Ortiz in his rankings. And I have to start to, because at first I'm saying to myself, come on. Let's not make it like Deontay Wilder's, his opponents they're signing contracts knowing that they're going to fail tests. I said, come on, that's a far reach, right? But I don't know, Sal. Luis Ortiz all of a sudden back, ban, lifted. He's able to compete, and he's competing as on Friday. He's in shape. That means he's been in the gym. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, that is amazing, really. How a guy of his stature right now in the rankings and stuff, showing up after being banned and then ready to fight on a turn of a dime. I give him credit for being in shape, but it sounds like maybe this was part of the script he had to follow. What do you think, Bill?
That's what it seems. It seems.
It does.
When they say, oh, it was all made up. They knew it was going to happen. And then the thing about Ortiz that haunts me is the comments that his team made after the WBC ruled that they were not going to accept his positive test, even though they knew that it came from his blood pressure medicine, and that they felt that they weren't going to let him fight because they were concerned for his health. And then Team Ortiz says, oh, thank you. Thank you for being concerned about our health. And I find that I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. He paid the $25,000, and now he's in the mix. Why not schedule him to fight Deontay Wilder right away? Now, if that's what happens, if Luis Ortiz wins on Friday night against Daniel Martz, and then they reschedule the fight between Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder to take place in January, and then assume that Deontay wins the fight, and assume that Anthony Joshua beats Joseph Parker in January, then that would set up a showdown between the two. And then maybe Deontay Wilder has a little more value behind him. What's your thoughts on that scenario?
I think that's a great scenario right there. And I know that it would prove to be a little more leverage for him to come to the bargaining table. But that would be a good scenario if they each had that one fight to get out of the way to bolster up the anticipation of their getting in the ring together. I think that would be a natural. That would be a natural. So I think that's a good scenario.
Yeah, I'm thinking that that's going to be
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to try to do. And then the guy that seems to be the odd man out, Alexander Povetkin, he also was cleared by the WBC to compete for them, even though he was a WBA champion and also a top-rated fighter for them. He's had some clouds following him every time he fights in Russia, so who knows about him. The last time he fought, he was fighting a guy with a broken neck, and he couldn't even take him out. So I think he's become a non-entity in the heavyweight division. And quite honestly, Luis Ortiz is 38 years old now. He just has not fought enough to keep busy. This fight against Daniel the Mountain Martz is not going to be a competitive fight. Daniel Martz is similar in body build to Deontay Wilder. He's tall and lanky. He's not very heavy, doesn't have much bulk. And Luis Ortiz, even not in top physical condition, Luis Ortiz should have no problem with Daniel Martz. So we'll get to at least see that fight on Friday. The main event is Ahmed Abiliai taking on Jean Pascal in a light heavyweight fight, which it shows. It shows. I'm interested in that fight. Jean Pascal wins that fight, he's going to be looking for another championship. And we'll see what happens there. And also another fight, Bryant Perella, we had him on this show, is going to be taking on Alex Martin, and that's a fight to keep an eye on as well. Some news I just wanted to update you on. Miguel Cotto apparently returned to Puerto Rico yesterday and is undergoing a bicep operation. That sounds like it's like he's changing his sexual preference.
I was going to say, by what?
His bicep. His bicep. He's having a bicep operation. But his bicep was torn, but he has reiterated that he is not returning. It looked like the Bengals were returning to prominence last night when they started out slapping around the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. Only to fall apart and fade in the second half. The Steelers went on to win the game 23-20 to keep their train moving. It looks like the two top teams in the AFC right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. The Bengals were kind of in a good position should they have won that game, but they failed to do so. In the NBA, the Hornets beat the Magic 104-94. The Pacers beat the Knicks 115-97. The Suns over the 76ers 115-101. The Nets win a game 110-90 over the Hawks. 20-point swing there. Pretty good for my Nets. The Celtics beat the Bucks 111-100. The Cavaliers over the Bulls 113-91. The Grizzlies topped the Timberwolves by 3, 95-92. The Warriors put 10 points above the Pelicans, 125-115. The Mavericks over the Nuggets, 122-105. The Spurs over the Pistons, 96-93. And check out this score. The Jazz, that would be the Utah Jazz, beat the Washington Wizards 116-69. I can't remember the last time an NBA team failed to score more than 70 points in a game.
Wow.
The Wizards did it last night. So I don't know what the hell was happening there. I guess somebody had some plexiglass over their net or something. 116-69. What a shellacking the Wizards took. Over in the NHL, the Capitals beat the Sharks 4-1. My Islanders get a win. They beat the Panthers 5-4 in a shootout. The Predators over the Bruins 5-3. And guess what, Sal? The Flyers beat the Flames. The Flyers kicked the pants off the Flames 5-2. So that's what took place in some other sports action. We got an email. This is from your man Joel. Says, Sal, where the hell is my shirt? No, he didn't say that. He doesn't say that.
I got to get his address all over again. I got to go on my instant message and look it up. I got one for him.
Yeah. He says, hey, Billy C., I really like how Showtime Sports is showing DeGale Truax on Saturday on YouTube. He says, while there was no room for it on their television station, I think it's a great idea to give it to us live on YouTube. I believe they will be giving us 4 fights total. I'm looking forward to seeing pretty much all the fights, especially. Now, before I continue reading, I just want to make sure that that is the case because it shows that that's being shown on Facebook Live. So maybe YouTube and Facebook, but it's being broadcast as it's on Facebook. But anyway, he says 4 tight fights total. I'm looking forward to seeing pretty much all the fights, especially Daniel Dubois against Anthony Yarde in their respective bouts, as I feel they're the future of their divisions in the UK and the world. I remember you saying a while back, this is the future for boxing, giving us good fights on a stream, and if they have to, at a reasonable price, if they need to charge. I'm hoping HBO will follow and do the same for cards featuring some of their fighters, but maybe not worthy for regular HBO. What's your and Sal's thoughts? Well, first and foremost, streaming is really TV now. I mean, you know, for all intent purposes, what's the difference? I mean, if you have an internet-ready TV, which I don't think you can buy one now that's not, you know, what that means is you plug a TV in and you access your internet from the television, and you can watch whatever you want, you know, Netflix, stuff like that, all these TV options on the internet. What's the difference? You know, you see that this is the problem. The way we transmit data, it used to be television and then computer, internet, whatever, phone. It's all being transmitted the same way now. You know, people refer to cable versus satellite. Well, the truth of the matter is cable networks pull their signal from satellite, and then they distribute it via cable to your home. You know, when you're pulling a television service directly from the satellite, you know, theoretically you're getting a better connection, at least in high definition. At least I think I got a better connection. I can see it with our choice of television provider. But the internet, I think, really, makes the world smaller when it comes to boxing. You know, I think that by having streams, whether they're good quality or not, lets you have the ability to watch fights that you would never have had a chance to watch. So I think it's great. What's your thoughts, Sal?
I think it's great, too. I don't understand how all this stuff works, but I'm just glad we have it at our fingertips. So, yeah, I'm all for it, Mr. Technicalities.
Technicalities?
You technical wizard, you?
Well, technicality is not it's a bad choice of words, Slip. Hey, Slip, it's a bad...
I'm trying to bastardize it again. I'm trying to do a Slip Mahoney, okay?
You did a Slip Mahoney, you know, but anyway.
No, the technical aspect of things, I think it's fantastic. And, you know, streaming, as you said, could be just like TV. And more times than not, you're going to find a smart TV in every household. And I think it's great. You could tap into the internet, and view anything you want to watch.
I think that it is. It's the same. You know, you really, as long as you have a good internet speed, you know, there's no difference in the performance. It's not. I mean, years ago it was choppy and crappy and everything else. And I suppose now, well, sometimes I shouldn't say that because sometimes YouTube is terrible. But
what's wrong with my tube?
Assuming that, you know, the connections are good. But I mean, looking at some of the TV fights this week, we got a pretty busy schedule this weekend. Beginning Friday with the Luis Ortiz Daniel Martz co-main event against, and Ahmed Abiliai and Jean Pascal, the main event on FS1. That's Friday night. And Saturday, via the internet, whether it be YouTube or Facebook, James DeGale against Khalib Truax and Lee Selby against Eduardo Ramirez, both for world titles. Then Saturday, talk about a great night, a great lineup of fights. On ESPN, Vasily Lomachenko against Guillermo Rigondeaux. What a great fight that is. That is a fight fan's fight. And that is going to be a really good fight to watch. The question is going to boil down to this. And obviously, as the week goes on, we will be breaking down those fights. But Vasily Lomachenko, who I believe is a more realistic of a definition of the sweet science because he's willing to engage. He's in front of you. You know, you can't hit him, but he's hitting you. He's got great hand speed. I mean, this guy is the real deal. And who's he fighting? a guy I could say the same thing about, Rigondeaux.
It's a mirror.
I mean, he's got speed. He's hard to hit. He's a guy that's standing right in front of you. He's like a slinky. You can't hit him. The knock on him is that he's been not so exciting at times. But Lomachenko, I mean, you got to have the right dance partner. And Lomachenko's got enough, I don't know, attitude or chutzpah is a good. I mean, chutzpah to make the fight happen. Ego. Let's just say ego, because he's got an ego. And then you have a fight I'm going to talk about after this next break. Orlando Salido and Mickey Roman on HBO. And then the co-main event is Tevin Farmer against Kenichi Agawa. Has HBO kind of slipped? I mean, they're just not picking up the big fights anymore like they used to. I mean, you got ESPN's deal with Top Rank. They're showing Lomachenko, Rigondeaux, and HBO's showing Orlando Salido against Mickey Roman. I mean, nothing. I mean, it's a good fight, but I mean, come on, Tevin Farmer. I mean, for a title, the Tevin Farmer fight is for a title. And then they're also showing, as a tape delay, Denis Shakirov against Rene Alvarado in the super featherweight division, which is a pretty good matchup. But concerning the fight between Orlando Salido and Mickey Roman, Sal, let me ask you a question. Who do you think makes the decisions for a fight like that? It was supposed to be or being billed as a interim title for the WBC. You got managers, you got fighters, trainers, managers, promoters, all involved. Who do you think would make the decision on the fight? Everything about the fight. Who do you think would make that decision?
The sanctioning bodies. Jack Dempsey.
That's the way you answer that. The sanctioning bodies, I would think that they have a say. I would think the promoters
they would have a say, but I would think it would be the promoters with the managers. That's
right.
Standard.
I mean, typically the promoter or the manager has the say, right?
That's what they usually do. That's how I believe it to be true.
Well, we're going to take a short break right now, and when I come back, I'm going to tell you who made the decision on this one and get your thoughts. So fill up on coffee. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Sal's handed sticking notes up. What do you think? I'm Evelyn Wood? Like I can read it that fast? You know, he sticks a note up in the camera.
He took that course in high school. Evelyn Wood Speed Reading Dynamics. That's exactly the title of it. And I was reading more stuff with my fingers going back and forth, left and right, just panning the book. And, man, I could read 1,000 words in a minute.
Yeah. Well, next time you hold up a note, give me a second to read it. You know, I mean, come on. I didn't see some letters and then you pull it down and take another sip of coffee. Oh, you know what? Let's see. I can't hold this note up with this hand and eat my egg sandwich at the same time, you know. So
easy. I had to wipe them out with that. So I was having my coffee the other hand too. I was really going to be ambidextrous.
So, you know, before we went to break, we're saying who makes the decision on a fight.
Yes.
You know, I agree with you. You know, the promoter, the managers, the trainers, the fighters themselves. But in this fight coming up this weekend, Orlando Salido against Mickey Roman, and it was supposed to be a WBC interim belt on the line. It's been reported that the powers that be at HBO said that they will not support that fight for more than 10 rounds. And they felt that, you know, they'll put that fight on their network, but it can only be 10 rounds. So in order to get the fight on the network and to make the money that the network was going to pay for the fight, the promoters, the managers, the fighters themselves, and, of course, the WBC all had to agree to a 10-round fight. Now, the WBC, their rules state that any kind of title belt, a world title belt, and this was for an interim world title belt, has to be 12 rounds. So, therefore, they withdrew. So now the fight between Orlando Salido and Mickey Roman, not only has it lost any kind of bearing for a title, which really I don't care about. We have too many titles anyway. HBO decides to air a 10-round fight instead of a 12-round fight. You know, I don't understand this. You know, they wanted to have a fight for a title, and you know, HBO decides they want to make this a 10-round fight, and the fighters take it because otherwise HBO says no. I don't understand why they wouldn't go with a 12-round fight. I know that it's not their position to support titles from any sanctioning body. But it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, if the fighters want to fight a longer fight, I mean, time restraint? I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, sometimes it's time restraint. I remember, you know, sometimes when they put a card together, you know, one time instead of giving me 10 rounds, they had to do it 8 round because that would have went over the limit of a fight and time and everything else for another 10-round fight to be on a card. I don't know. It's just, like I said, that is an interesting position because if it was going to be a 12-round title fight or something of that nature, and then to say, hey, we're not going to sanction that, we're not going to view that or have that televised on HBO, I don't know. I don't think it could be a round constraint. I doubt it, depending on what the rest of the card is looking like or what they want to air. Or what their time is. That's a good question. I think we got to ask Nostradamus.
Well, I mean, listen, if they felt that the fight wasn't worthy of being a championship caliber fight, or maybe they just didn't want to be, you know, supportive of any specific belt, then why put it on HBO? Well, HBO is supposed to be a network similar to Showtime that only show us the better fights. The fights that people want to see. So if the suits that make these decisions, because let's face it, the people that make the decisions for boxing on TV are not boxing people. They're the suits. I call them the suits. You know, they're making a business decision, you know, and they don't know enough about the sport. So if they say to themselves, well, this fight isn't good enough for a 12-rounder, then why the hell is it even on the network? If they say we don't have enough time to put a 12-round fight on, what's an extra 2 rounds? I mean, actual fight time is 7 minutes, 3 minutes plus the minute in between. So maybe tack on another 10 for the scores and everything else. You know, so you're talking, let's say 20 minutes. You're telling me that you're gonna cut out 2 rounds for 20 minutes of airtime? It doesn't make sense. You know, it's just another example of how many different hands we have in the cookie jar of boxing, Sal. It's not right. You know, the boxing needs boxing people. You know, and I'm not suggesting that every network should have a boxing expert on their staff. But if you're going to join in the reindeer games, so to speak, and broadcast boxing on TV, I believe that you should have some type of advisor or a person in position that knows the difference between the fighters. You know, all too often we see a guy that we never heard of fighting a guy we heard of, and the guy we never heard of dons an impressive record and then gets destroyed. It was the same thing Dax was talking about last week about the promoter who was, letting shady fights go through, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is where these guys come from.
It's true, and that's, it's almost like the movie. I was up 3 o'clock in the morning watching The Harder They Fall. It was a revelation of revealing of the old model of what was used to get a fighter up there, promote him, and everything else. But you think we're past all that?
It's the same today. The same model that is
same formula.
Yeah, the same model, same formula that was in The Harder They Fall is exactly what they do today. They build up a fighter against nondescript opposition. Many times the opponent is not even thinking about going the distance. The fighter doesn't even know it. And that's the case. You know, that's why that movie, The Harder They Fall, to me, is Deontay Wilder's story. Because Deontay Wilder honestly believes that he's the best heavyweight out there. And you want your fighter to believe that. And here's a guy that says, all I want to do is prove I'm the best. I want to find out for myself if I'm the best. I want to fight the best. I think that if push came to shove, Deontay Wilder, if they said to Deontay Wilder, listen, in order to prove the best, you got to fight Anthony Joshua, but all you're going to make is $1 million. It's up to you, Deontay. What do you want to do? You know what I think, Sal? I think Deontay Wilder says yes. I think Deontay Wilder says I'll fight him because I truly believe that Deontay Wilder wants to fight. I think that all of the cronies in his ears telling him, nope, you'll get more, is causing him not to have the fight and causing the negativity from people like myself. What do you think?
Well, I think that has something to do with it. I really do. But I think that Deontay Wilder, has a lot of voices in his ears and telling him and promoting him that he is the kingpin. And he believes it. And that's one of the most important things, that he does believe it. And when he does get in the ring, he's just got to show it and just got to rise to the occasion and prove it. And that's why, you and I definitely have a different view of what's going to happen if Deontay Wilder gets in the ring with Anthony Joshua. I'm not going to, as much as I would love to see Anthony Joshua give him a boxing lessons and do a good job. Tell you what, I think Anthony Joshua is going to have his hands full with Deontay Wilder. I'm not going to give you the full prediction, but I think that's a good fight. But that's neither here or there right now. Where we are is saying that Deontay Wilder really validates himself to believe that he's the one holding all the chips, when in the actuality he is not.
Well, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is when and if Deontay Wilder steps in with
We're going to have a gentleman's bet on that.
Here's the thing. Anthony Joshua, I know everybody says he's got all this punching power. And, it seems to be the case, him knocking out these sacrificial lambs that he's been fed. And he's got a very long arm reach when he fights shorter guys like Bermane Stavern. And he employed the jab. And very basic jab, right hand. Jab, right hand. Jab, 1, 2, 1, 2. Very basic. And when you look at AJ and Deontay Wilder, they're very similar in their amateur experience and their achievements in the amateurs. I mean, Deontay could only muster up a bronze in the Olympics, but that's still better than most. And AJ, of course, won the gold. But the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter. They're pros now, and they are going to get in the ring. The smart approach for Deontay Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua would be to try to set up his right hand behind the jab, to employ some movement and try to outbox AJ and be patient and wait for his opening. That's the way Deontay Wilder could beat Anthony Joshua. There's no question about that. There's no question about that, Sal. I mean, come on. It's not like I don't know how Deontay Wilder could do it, because that makes the most sense. He's got the reach, he's got the height, and he's an athletic guy for his build. He's lanky and stuff like that. And he could conceivably, especially behind the tutelage of Mark Breland, employ a safety-first approach to beating Anthony Joshua and try to get Anthony Joshua to tire out. Now, the thing is, in order to get Anthony Joshua to tire out, you got to have Anthony Joshua let his hands go. That means if you're going to let Anthony Joshua let his hands go, you're going to be in his wheelhouse, because Anthony Joshua just doesn't let punches go like a drunken octopus. He, sets up
that one.
Right. He sets up his punches. So it's going to be a risk for Deontay Wilder to employ the right game plan to beat Anthony Joshua, because he's going to have to put himself in harm's way at some point if he's looking to tire AJ out. Now, if he's looking to pull a Mayweather and jab and run and jab and run and jab and run and try to counterpunch and steal a fight, so be it. But I think Anthony Joshua is smart enough to be able to break the ring down. And if I'm Anthony Joshua, my plan is to keep my chin protected and try to land some body shots on Deontay Wilder early in the fight to keep Wilder's guard down. If he starts hurting Wilder to the body, you're going to see Deontay Wilder drop his hands. And, oh, by the way, Deontay Wilder doesn't really have a good defense, because I've never seen it. And I've seen less than stellar opposition connect with him and stun him. I don't know. It's easier said than done, and that's the fight we need to see. I mean, when push comes to shove, it's the fight we need to see, Sal.
100%. I'm in agreement with that, and I hope we get to see it by mid-2018.
Well, I mean, that would be the dream, to see that fight midway through 2018, assuming that Deontay Wilder fights Luis Ortiz in early January, and then Joseph Parker fights AJ in early January. Maybe that sets up the fight we all really want to see, Deontay Wilder mid 2018 or even towards the end. I do think that Luis Ortiz is in the mix, because a win over Luis Ortiz gives Deontay Wilder a little more bargaining power, I believe, because it will bring some legitimacy to Deontay Wilder. But all in all, what started this, I believe that the harder they fall, Deontay Wilder could be the guy. What do you think?
Yes and no. I think he's got a better chin than what we saw in the movie. And I think, like I said, he's got a pop behind his punch. But on the overall build-up, promotion, and fights that he's had thus far with the resume of his opponents, it looks similar to a script written in Hollywood.
Well, it was kind of a trick question for you, because if you would have said, "Oh yeah, he looks just like the character in
Toro,"
Toro in
Toro.
Harder They Fall, then I would have said, "Well, then how you giving him a chance to beat AJ, Sal?" But you didn't bite.
Well, I didn't bite the bullet. I didn't bite that bait. I knew where you were going, Billy C.
You didn't hit
I had
that
my
bait.
10th cup of coffee. My new neurons are firing up now.
Yeah, I wish you. Yeah, your neurons are certainly firing up. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow we will be doing our Blast from the Past, which features former world title challenger, European heavyweight champ, and three-time Lonsdale belt holder, Henry Cooper, Sir Henry Cooper.
Henry Cooper, the bloody mess he is, that bloody boy.
Who dropped Ali in their fight. That was one of his famous career highlights, was dropping Muhammad Ali in that fight. But nonetheless, we'll be talking about him. We're also going to have Larry Hazard join us and get his thoughts on Miguel Cotto's final fight, and then, of course, his take on Vasily Lomachenko against Rigondeaux, which we'll be breaking down later in the week. Don't forget, we're not doing a live show on Thursday, but we will be here tomorrow and, of course, on Friday. 2018 is going to be a big year for us. We have several new segments we will be introducing, a couple of them from your recommendations from last year that I never got a chance to talk about. But one thing, I'm giving you guys a homework assignment. You know, it's the end of the year, and 2017, Sal, was probably one of the better years for boxing in recent times. So I ask you all this. Email me what you think were your top. Give me your top 5. If you want to give me more, that's fine. But your top 5 fights of 2017. They could be any level. They don't have to be the big fights. You know, the obviously AJ against Klitschko is one of mine. But they don't have to be. They could be a fight that you saw on a local card that no one else saw. Send it to me, because we want to talk about them from now until the end of the year. 2017 was a great year. What were your top 5 fights, or top 10? However many you want to write me, but no less than 5. Give me an email, and we'll read your favorite fights of 2017 on air. So drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. We've been stumping the hell out of these people with the trivia questions, Sal.
I agree. I don't know what's going on, but I think we got to Google some more answers.
Google? Isn't that what a turkey does? Oh, no.
Google.
That's gobble. Sorry. No,
Oh,
you're imitating a chicken, a rooster.
I don't know what I'm imitating.
But here's a question. Now, what's on the line is the same magic computer box that Sal thinks Alex has.
Magic boxing machine.
Magic boxing machine is what he calls it. I don't know why I never get that right. Sal's magic boxing machine.
I call it because I've called it what you said 20 times too.
Alex's magic boxing machine, which is really just a title bout championship computer game. If you get this question right, you're going to win your own copy of that. The question is, it's a who am I question. The question is, I captured my first world title on my first try, but once I lost it, it took me almost 12 years. Well, let me rephrase that. It took almost 12 years and 5 attempts before I would win another world title. Who am I? I captured my first title on my first try, but once I lost it, it took almost 12 years and 5 attempts before I would win another world title. Who am I? If you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of Title Bout Championship computer game. Sal, what? He's raising his hand.
I had a name just came to my head. I don't know if it's true, but for some reason, it just, when you said that, that's the neurons again. They just, Saul Mamby.
Wow, that's a good one, but no.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's a good one.
Not going to be good if it's wrong.
No, it's a good answer. Good answer. The survey says, no, it's wrong. I'm sorry. But anyway. So, yeah, if you guys know that question, and you're the first one to email me, Billy at talkinboxing, that's TALKINBOXING.com, you will win the prize. Don't forget, we are doing another Billy C get-together. It's going to be either in St. Simons or upstate New York. It will be taking place the week of January 16th. I will definitely give you the locale on Friday. So we have to do this. We are going to be filming not one, not two, not three, but 4 classic fights where Sal and myself and a special guest will be calling the action while you guys enjoy the fights, enjoy each other's company. We'll have some celebs there. There'll be a cash bar. There'll be some food. It's worth the trip. We're trying to have it in St. Simons because we want to build this as our after holidays holiday party.
Yeah,
where you guys can relax after a stressful holiday season, which we're all in right now, and come on down to beautiful St. Simons where the weather's nice and hang out with us for a few days. Maybe get a couple of rounds of golf in. But we have not gotten a confirmation yet, but we don't see an issue there. But it's most likely going to be there. If not, then pack your warm clothes and plan on skiing up in upstate New York because that's going to be the plan B. Either way, it's going to happen, and we want you to be there. And rumor has it that Jeremy C., the infamous Jeremy C., will be there as well. So you guys can actually meet this cat who you might be thinking is fictional. But I can assure you that Jeremy C. is not fictional. The truth of the matter is Jeremy C. and Billy C. might be the same person. I don't even know who either one of them are anymore. So
we all have C's in our last name.
I know.
Unbelievable.
None
it's
of
a C connection.
None of us can spell. But anyway, hey, listen, on this day in boxing history, December 5th, in 1986, Dwayne Thomas knocks out John the Beast Mugabe in the third round to win the vacant WBC World Junior Middleweight title, and that took place in Vegas. You know, John the Beast Mugabe was a really good fighter. His biggest problem was making weight, and he had a hell of a time making junior middleweight, and this fight was one of those fights where he was just drained trying to make weight. As you know, he also gave Marvin Hagler all he could handle at middleweight, and he fought as heavy as light heavyweight. But John the Beast Mugabe was quite the fighter. I remember taking a buddy of mine to see him later in his career at light heavyweight. But anyway, that's what took place on this day in 1986. On this day in 1958, Don Jordan wins a 15-round decision over Virgil Atkins to win the world welterweight title, and that took place in Los Angeles, California. On this day in 1981, Arturo Freitas knocks out Claude Noel in the 8th round to win the WBA World Lightweight title. It took place in Vegas. Freitas would go on to lose the title 5 months later to 2015 Boxing Hall of Famer Ray Boom Boom Mancini via a first-round knockout. It's tough when you can't even read your own writing. On this day in 1986, Greg Haugen wins a 15-round decision over Jimmy Paul to win the IBF World Lightweight title. It took place in Vegas. On this day in 1998, Johnny Tapia wins a 12-round decision over Nana Konadu to win the WBA Bantamweight title. It took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And finally, on this day, December 5th in 1981, Rafael Pedroza wins a 15-round decision over Gustavo Balas to win the WBA World Junior Bantamweight title, and that took place in Panama City in Panama. Hey, listen, that concludes our show for today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.